Check, check, microphone check. Let's stop the music just for a sec. All right. We have to do the inaugural check our setup from the phone. Check, check. Check, check. Well, that didn't go to my headphones, but I can hear that it's working. All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the very first workout of CJ's Gym of 2026. I feel like I've had a lot of first workouts of the year in all my years, and they always make you think just about, I don't know, the past couple years where you were a few years ago. This morning I woke up and realized that 3 years ago I went and picked up Toby from, come here, they want to see you. I went and got Toby from his original parents. Toby, come here, right here. They want to see how big you've gotten. 3 years ago. And that seems, I don't even remember what my life was like before him. Because since I started making content and I don't know, just had a lot of energy to do stuff. This guy's always been around. And that was 3 years ago. I went and drove through a really muddy train track. I went over some train tracks that were covered in mud and then through a big old puddle when I had a Jeep. And they said, maybe you can just wait till next week. And I was like, no, I want to get him today. So little baby Toby and I rang in the new year together. And that was 3 years ago. And it just seems like so much has changed since then. And today, I was looking at my email because I've been doing a lot of job searching recently. I know I talk about that a lot, but I graduate with my master's at the end of this next semester. So I wanted to talk today about, I wanted to go through my entire job history and just see if I can remember everything. Not only that, but I just want to refresh myself just because it's New Year's and I feel like this is going to be a big year for my professional life, and I really hope it is at least. All right, you guys done with the camera? Go ahead. So today I want to go through every single job I've ever had, if I can remember them, just as an overall topic while I'm working out, so that I have something to talk about, because it just feels weird to not be chit-chatting. So, a little more background. I started working. Okay, we're going to get right into this. We're going to play some music. I'm going to do 5 minutes of jump rope so that I can get my wiggles out. And then I will be right back. Hopefully with a less cluttered mind. I just need to jump the jitters out. I just had some coffee. I guess this is our new spot for jumping rope. Okay, 5 minutes of jumping rope to warm up. And I will see y'all right after this.
Hey, it's Matt and Abby. We're high school sweethearts and now hosts of the Unplanned Podcast.
Where every week we dive into honest, unfiltered conversations around relationships, parenting, marriage, with all the chaos and laughs that come with it.
We also host interviews with various experts, influencer couples, and reality TV personalities you won't hear anywhere else.
It's real, it's raw, and it's always entertaining. So hit play on our latest episode right here on Spotify.
All right. I feel a lot better. I feel a lot, even though I'm short of breath right now. I suppose you just gotta shake the caffeine off, even though it's what wakes you up. Okay, so I thought about it. And we're gonna start this resume that we're building today all the way back to our very, very, very first job, which was like leaves, all that kind of stuff, you know? But I'm curious what kind of jobs any of y'all did. So chime in whenever. And if we ever had the same job, you know, chime in. I want to know. I want to know who else worked at the Golden Arches. Okay, we're starting at the very beginning. So when I was a JIT, I was legit, but also I was rented out for labor for everybody at the church and neighbors including, which is funny because I live on the old street that I grew up on, and the house that I used to do yard work for is being rebuilt and all that stuff. So full circle. But what time is it? 8 o'clock. We got 5 minutes to just stretch, chat before we jump into the first workout. So yard work, leaves mostly, because we're just around a lot of pine trees. Leaves and weed eating, a lot of weed eating, and I got to know that, you know, electric weed eaters, gas weed eaters, depending on whoever you're working with, whether it's an old guy from the church or my uncle who employed me a lot of the time, they're all so fucking particular about how you handle their weed eater, you know? So I bring this up because this is one of the first employed memories I remember. So there's a deacon at my church who hired, you know, sons to come do yard work at his place. And he would never tell you how much he was going to pay you. He would just talk to the parents and be like, yep, I talked to your parents. They're going to drop you off on Saturday morning and they'll get you back Saturday night. And I was like, all right, cool. And I'd get there, and usually I would be texting friends like, hey, is your mom doing this? Is your mom sending you to this? They'd be like, no, dude, we don't partake in that behavior. We do our own yard work. And I was like, yeah, me too, but like, whatever. I guess 13-year-olds are built different everywhere. So I would go to this deacon's house, and I remember because his yard was immaculate. I'm talking $50,000 in outside renovations itself, okay? We're talking like multiple fountains, multiple sprinkler systems all around. We're talking cameras, electric fences to keep deer away, which like around here, you gotta be serious about your garden if you're gonna put up an electric fence. Like, I get it, but like, his place was already like its own little city. There wasn't deer coming in there anyway. So I just remember looking at this place and being like, oh, we're getting paid good today. And he came out. It was me and this other kid. I'm CJ, and this other kid was named RJ, for the sake of this story. And he's like, all right, well, you guys do what you do. No instruction whatsoever. Do what you guys do is what he said to us. So I pick up a rake, start raking his big old graveled, like, you know, spot for his boat and his car and all this stuff. And like, I don't know, I did that for like an hour. I was just getting little leaves and pine needles out, and I think RJ just went and like started picking weeds with his hands. And this guy comes back out like 5 minutes later, and he's like, oh, okay, so you guys gonna get into the tools or what? Opens up his little shed, loaded with tools. I mean, every tool you could think of for outdoor work. I'm like, thanks, man. Like, that would have been super helpful. I'm 13 at the time, and I grew up with electric weed eaters. You plug it in, you spool the rope in, and you go, and as long as the extension cord's there, you pretty much can do whatever. Now, the issue is you're always running over your, getting caught up in your own electric extension cable, but it's not a gas powered one that you have to know how to prime and how to, I don't know. I think there's a different way to roll up the spool on that one. Definitely was at the deacon's house, and there was no gas in it because he didn't want to put it away with gas in before we got there. So he's just like, yeah, go for it, guys. And I'm like, dude, I don't know how to do any of that. Like, I know what you want me to do, but like, I haven't been working this much to know exactly how to use every piece of equipment. So now he's getting pissed, and he's like, well, you gotta rip this, you gotta rip it, and you gotta grip it, and you gotta, and you guys never learned this? How could you even get employed? How you ever worked before if you don't know how to turn on a, I'm like, I don't know. I was 12 when I met you, and it took like, 9 months for my parents to be like, yeah, you can go do yard work for this guy. So I'm already uncomfortable because I'm like, this guy expects real high quality work from us. And I'm used to raking leaves. So we get to the point where I'm weed eating and my friend he's in the garden next to the electric fences. He's pruning. Has anyone ever showed us how to prune before? Nope. Just pruning. Just chopping whatever looks good, And so my friend's just like, ow, ow, ow. And I'm thinking that he's pruning a thorn bush or something, because I'm like, what are you doing over there? His dumbass was standing like this, pruning, and the electric fence was like between his legs, and he just kept bzz, bzz, bzz. And he did that for hours until the deacon came back out and was like, you getting shocked? And he's like, yeah, is that what that is? I think so. He's like, let me just turn off the fence. It turns off the fence. But I think he was like, why didn't you just turn off the fence? And we're like, dude, we don't live here, know you, or want to be here. Like, so I'm not kidding. I remember being at that deacon's house for probably like 8 hours. It was a good 8-hour shift. He came outside multiple times while me and my friend were just chatting, because we're 13 and 14, I think. And he's like, when you pay for one worker, you get you get the output of two, because he has no one to talk to. But when you pay 2 workers, you get the output of 1 man, because they keep chatting with each other. So less talking, more working. He was that kind of dude. And I was like, yeah, I'm not into this, right? So after that, I went home, and my mother listened out, heard the story out, and was like, yeah, I guess we can't just rent you out to anybody. So I started getting more exclusive with who I would work with. This brings me to one of my most memorable non-currency paying jobs. So when you work at the church for old people who live in a retirement town, they're not giving out money for work. They're trying to barter with you. These people are 70 years older than me, 60 years older than me at times. And before I get confused, we're doing some rows. First back workout of the day, we're gonna be doing some rope rows. And we're gonna be doing a minute at a time, so we'll start at the 16. Okay, so we're at this job. Me and my brother get hired by our neighbor to do his yard, the yard that I can currently see from here. It's huge. It's covered in leaves. I'm talking like 6 inches of leaves. Like it's bad, and it's about the size of half of a football field. So he hires me and my brother. We don't talk payment at all. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Neither of us jump in. My father's like, did you say he's paying you? We're like, we don't know. He said if we wanted to be hired. I remember he just said hired. He didn't say paid. So me and my brother get over there. First thing he makes us do is dig a big old hole. And I don't really remember why. I'll have to ask my brother, but I remember doing this with him. And as we're digging this hole, me and my brother are taking turns, doing our thing, just kind of yip yapping. This guy's a lot cooler. He's this big old stoner guy who moved down from Canada. Huge guitar player, ex rock star kind of guy. Incredible on the guitar. But we're digging this huge hole, and he comes out with a huge pitcher of this dark brown liquid, and two like mason jars would have been nice. These are like plastic. These might be like mayonnaise jars that he just emptied out. He sits down next to us and he's just like, hey, here you go. And pours it up, and we're like, what the fuck is this? And it's root beer. It's homemade root beer. And I guess it's must have been a big brand in Canada or something, but this guy swears by it and he used to drink like a gallon of it a day. This root beer was really good, right? Really good. Just the way I was drinking it was not enjoyable. You know, I'm sitting in the dirt. It's from a warm cup that just came from a warm pitcher from a guy's house that I would never step foot in. And anyway, he gives us our root beer and he's like, all right, back to work. We get back to work. We do that hole. Oh, we were putting fence posts in. No, maybe that wasn't, because this was a big hole. Anyway, we rake the rest of his yard. We blow the rest of his yard with the leaf blowers. This takes us the better part of like a weekend, I want to say. And at the end of it, he comes out and he's admiring it. And he's like, man, this is awesome. Thank you guys so much. And he's just kind of like going through the day with us. He's like, yep, you know, and you guys got me what I needed, and you guys got some great root beer out of it. That's where I knew we fucked up. I got some work out of it, and you guys got some root beer out of it. So not only did he just acknowledge that he had already paid us on day one with root beer, but there was no further payment coming. So we're just standing there looking at his yard like, yep. And me and my brother we're not gonna say anything to someone who's like, we're kids. Other people might be like, I need to be compensated for the time and effort as I believe to be paid in US currency. We were just like, okay, like I guess we should have checked and saw if we were getting paid first, but like he was a cool dude. And I think he even was like, I'll give you guys guitar lessons or some shit. Like, he just, and I just remember that being a job that always went down as we didn't get paid for it. We got paid in root beer for it. And I don't know how many other jobs me and my older brother took together after that, if I'm being very honest with you. Okay. So let's jump past odd jobs and BS. I could talk about those forever. I have an uncle who had a tin roof that hired me to go clean his gutters in the middle of a thunderstorm, because if the gutters weren't clear, the roof would have caved. So I'm standing on this metal roof with a metal fork, scooping out pine leaves. And that uncle went to rehab, and he is living a very good life now. But that was my Air Force veteran uncle, and that's another odd job story. But after this set, we're gonna talk about the first W-2 job I got when I was 14 years old. After this set of rows, and we're gonna try and go real low and slow on the negatives here. Okay. So, nope, I lied. We're not going to W-2s yet. There was one job that I had that was before that, and this is also when I was 13. So, I used to play roller hockey at this roller rink that is still around, but it was roller hockey, fully padded, and I loved it with my life. It was everything to me as a kid. I was really good, but it was like, whatchamacallit? Oh, hey there, baby beans. What was it? It's like rec league, you know, like it wasn't there. Like if you wanted to be serious about hockey, you went and played ice 2 hours away. Me, been playing hockey since I was a little guy. I could roller skate, so this was perfect for me. I was owning the league for years and years and years, or at least like top 3 players from 3rd grade to 8th grade. So when I was 13, the league manager approached me and was like, "Hey, good game. Would you like to be a scorekeeper?" And I was like, "Oh my God, for real?" He's like, "Yeah, you just get here a few games early, stay a couple games late, just keep score. You got to set up the rink, you know, it means putting up the walls because you turn it into a regular ice rink or a regular roller rink into the rec league rink that it is. So obviously you got to pull out the nets. You got to dolly over the big walls and net off the rink in case any loose pucks go flying, all that kind of stuff." So I'm like, "Cool, man, I'd love to." Never did I think that this early in my first job would they already start being like, "Okay, so like, here's what we're gonna do. You can work here and we'll give you a free drink from the concession stand every day that you work, and we'll just waive your fees for next season." And I was like, "Cool, like that sounds good." And they're like, "So that means no paycheck." And I was like, "Oh, okay, well, I guess that makes sense, you know. I'm basically this is like a roller hockey league scholarship." I'm like, "Dope, cool. My mom will love this. My mother loved it." She's like, "Cool, no more fees. You get to play every season now, and you just get to be there for a couple games. Cool." So I have to do a couple shadow games where I'm watching this person. The person that they have me shadowing is like, "What, you wanna go inside? Go get her. You wanna stay out here? Okay." Person I'm shadowing is this like father of 4 who plays in the beer league. And he's just like, "Yeah, man, here you go. So you go get this old score box, and it's connected to the marquee in the middle of the rink. And you have to climb up and plug in all these Ethernet cables to make it work and all this stuff." And I got all that down. That was no issue. I've always been a very on-time, prompt person. So I'd be sitting there waiting for the game to start. But what would always mess me up is this is rec league roller hockey. So like no one's taking this stuff super serious. And they'd be like, "Hey, who's home team and who's away team?" And I'd be like, "First off, everybody lives within a 5-mile radius of here and they're just wearing different jerseys. So like, I don't care. Who do you guys want?" And the coaches would come up to me like, "Hey, who's home, who's away?" And I'd be like, I don't know. Like, which one do y'all want?" And they'd be like, "We want home." Okay. So I'd make them the home side. And then face off would happen, and the first goal of every game would suck. I would remember just being anxious for the first goal to get scored, because not only did you have to know who got the assist, but you had to know who got the goal, and you had to keep those 2 people in your head. And not only am I like 13, terrible eyesight, but they're just like, "Yeah, who got the assist on the last one?" I'm like, "I have no fucking idea, dude. I'm still trying to figure out if +1 means +1 point or +1 minute on the clock." Because nobody told me this stuff. And they're like, "Hey, when the puck's out of play, you gotta stop the clock." So I'm hitting stop. But in order to reset the clock, I wanna see if I can pull up. I mean, this thing is old. Like it's manual buttons. It looks like an old POS system. Probably was at some point. And
The first goal gets scored and I hit goal on one side. Cool, whatever. Immediately, parents running up to me. Wrong side. You put it on the wrong. And I'd be like, okay, well, I guess this team's just the home team now, you know? They'd be like, no, that's not how it works. Deduct the point from that side, put it on that side. And I'd be like, okay, like, I'm gonna try this. Meanwhile, the game's still going. Like, these are 14 and 15-year-old referees who are like letting this game happen. So I'm like, hey guys, I need a second. They're like, wait, what? Drop the puck. Game's going. Score's wrong. Time is not running. And then probably the most embarrassed, I think this is the most embarrassed I've ever been in work. I can't think of anything to top this right now, but third quarter of a game or third period of a game, and somebody scores, and I'm trying to hit the button, and it's not working. So I try and call a ref. Ref can't hear me, so I hit horn on the fucking, what's it called? The score tile box thing, right? I hit horn. This god-awful air horn goes off that blows, like, this is a rec league, so there's obviously still people like hanging out in concessions. And everyone's just like, what the fuck was that? And game stops and kids like, what the fuck's going on? This kid had a breakaway probably, I don't know. He's pissed. And both coaches from two teams were two parents, obviously. The two refs, the league manager, a concession stand person for some fucking reason, she had no reason to be there, shows up to my little section and they're like, what's wrong? Why'd you stop the game? And I'm like, I scored, I didn't even know what to say. I was so anxious and I was so overwhelmed that I was just like, and the beer league guy who was training me was like, I'll take over. And he took over. And then, you know, the worst part about that, I remember, was like, everybody was like so pissed in the moment when it happened. Like, I remember parents were giving me dirty looks. They were like, why are you fucking with why would you even do it? Why? And then at the end of the game, people would come up to me and they'd be like, oh man, that's crazy what happened. Oh man, that's embarrassing, huh? But like they weren't ready to fucking rip my head off like 5 minutes before for this mistake. So that job was a pain in the ass because that was one of my like first shifts, and I always thought that I was gonna mess it up like that again. So I got better at that, and I would get better at knowing which team was home, which team was away, who got the stats, to the point where I would have a game right after the game that I was scorekeeping for. So like, let's say somebody got a penalty, stop the clock for like 30 seconds, let them all get situated. I'd be sitting at the score box, which is in the middle of, in the middle of the rink, on, outside of the rink, just kind of on the boards. It's a weird setup. I'll just show you guys sometime. But I'd be in my Catholic schoolboy uniform because I just got there at 3, and I'd have to be ready for a game at 4. Penalty box starts, and so I'd like rip off my pants and put on my girdle, put on my shorts, and then I'd take score, and then game would end, take off my shirt, punch in some stats, put on my pads, and people would just be walking by like, you can't just take like 5 minutes out. And I'd be like, no, dude, I literally play like next. And so that was a fun job. It was fun because I got to hang out at the rink, like totally alone. Like my parents would just drop me off sometimes. My mom would drop me off at 3. I'd scorekeep to like 7. My dad would come. Sometimes I would just get to go play with other teams. And, but I didn't get paid for that job either. I remember they were just like, yeah, man, you can use all of our equipment. You can invite friends, this and that, but like, there's no paycheck here. I did not care. But quitting that job was hard because they're always like, why would you quit? You play here, so like obviously you're gonna be here. But I was going into high school and I had joined the swim team, and I didn't want to work. I didn't really want to play hockey that much anymore. And if I wanted to play hockey, I didn't want to scorekeep while I did it. I just wanted to go in and play and leave. So they were pretty much like, well, if you're going to be here for your own games, you might as well scorekeep for the one before and after. So I ended up just not signing up for a season of hockey. And they just didn't call because, you know, they saw that I wasn't registered for the next year, obviously. But yeah, that's pretty much how that job ended. I think I was like 15 when it was over, and it was middle of the year. And once you start working, you can't really stop in terms of paychecks, right? But I wasn't getting paychecks, so like I could have stopped at any point. I had gotten a taste of what it was like to be out of the house, get my own soda pops, do my own thing, you know? So I was like, I need another job. So, my grandma was like, hey, you should be a lifeguard. They start hiring at 16, and I was 15 at the time, and I was a really good swimmer. I'd been on the swim team for a year, and I was like, yeah, absolutely, I should. So, this next job that we're gonna talk about is by far the greatest job I've ever had. If I could go back to it today, I probably would. So I'm 15. It's my freshman year? No, I can't be right. Whatever. I sign up for CPR and first aid classes, and you have to go to 2 weeks of those classes because I live near a university. There's a bunch of college kids getting vetted for jobs every year, and they're just like, yeah, you can join the class. I had to get a waiver because I wasn't 16 yet, and I was like, cool, I'll do it. And they were like, but if you take this class, you have to know no one's gonna hire a 15-year-old, let alone like a 16-year-old. But I was like, no, I'll apply somewhere, I don't know. So I take this class. I ended up paying like $300 for it. And by the time it's over, I remember this class was so fucking like intense to me at the time. I'm 15 and I'm only with college kids, and they make it a point to point it out that, you know, the CPR trainer, first instructor guy, he works at the hospital too. But good dude. He just made it a point to be like, hey, you're super young, and these are all, you know, 19, 20-year-olds who are, you know, probably going to be working at all the public pools this year, so like keep up if you can. I was like, for sure, I got you. So I'd be like staying at my grandma's house, going to these night courses, and you know, I'd be watching birthing videos with all these college kids, and I'm like 15. This is fucking awesome for me. And you wanna go inside? Go ahead. You wanna go inside? I always feel like I'm keeping him here, but so I'm in this CPR class, and things are going great. And what happened? Oh, so on the last day of classes, it's through the Parks and Rec department that you get your certification. So the Parks and Rec team shows up there, and they're like, hey, we're looking for people to apply for work for the summer. The instructor makes it a point to be like, everybody here would be a fantastic applicant. However, this one kid is 15. Like, he like pointed me out so the people knew, obviously, that I probably wasn't gonna be able to work. But I was like, damn. I thought I'd have a little more time before like jobs, you know, I'd have to start applying for jobs. But I guess, you know, if you're gonna hire someone to watch your pool in May, you should probably hire them in like March or April. So I finished this class, I have these certifications, and I cannot find a job at a public pool. I'm looking everywhere too. There's only so many in this, you know, small towns. And I have no car either. So like, can't even drive, no car. My mom's like, maybe you go work at the pool that you're swimming at. Because I was doing summer swim at the time. And I go there, they don't hire me. And so I come back to my little town one night, and I go to the gym with my parents, and this gym has the tiniest hot tub, tiny hot tub, a 3-lane pool, and a kiddie pool, right? and the kiddie pool's like 2 to 4 feet deep. Lap pool only goes down to like 5 feet. And I walk in there, and I've never seen a lifeguard there in my life. And this person's like, "How you guys doing? This is not. Do you know anybody who'd be interested in lifeguarding?" And I'm like, me? And they're like, "Oh, well, you have to get your certificate." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I have this one." I pull out my cards. And they're like, "Oh, well, do you have?" "Yeah, bloodborne pathogen. I have this one. I pull out all my cards, and they're like, "Oh my God, like, are you 16? And I was just like, I will be after summer, this and that." And the lady comes out, and her name was Carolyn. She was the owner of the gym. And she was like, or Catherine, Carolyn was my name, I don't know. And she's like, "Yeah, dude, you're hired. Like, come in next week, I'll show you how it's gonna work." And I'm like, this is so badass. I just landed a job for summer. And then she gives me the rundown of it. Okay. So since I had to go get my CPR and all that stuff, I was getting paid higher than usual than what minimum wage was at the time. And this is back in I want to say like 13 maybe. 13, maybe even 12. I don't know what minimum wage was there. All I know is that I was making $17 an hour per hour at this pool. And this pool was nothing. It was a hot tub and a kiddie pool and a lap pool. And the only thing that I had to deal with was like crackhead parents throwing their kids in the pool, like doing the weird, like I had this one guy who I swear was trying to like throw his kid face first into the concrete because of how bad he kept missing throwing this kid into the pool. But I would just have to blow my whistle at them. So anyway, she gets me, I'm gonna get to that. She gets me set up and she's like, "Here's your punch in. You will punch in every day, 10 a.m. You will punch out 5 a.m. every day. You don't get a lunch. You're just gonna work through it. You get a 7-hour shift. 7-hour shift, $16 an hour, whatever." I'm doing the math in my head. 5 days a week. Oh, okay, cool. That's good money for a 15-year-old, right? I'm the only lifeguard there too. So if I don't come to work, the pool can't be open for like any of the kids, yada. So I'm super excited for this job. It's like 13 weeks, I think, of guaranteed work. And I just start doing my thing. I'm sitting at this lifeguard stand. I'm taking it super serious because it's my first, I think this is like my first big kid job. I'm thinking, I'm watching over people's kids and all this stuff. And the daycare center comes because they have a swim hour because there's a daycare at the gym. I'm talking so much that I don't even know what part of the workout I'm on. Those were some curls. Do some more rows. We can do some. We'll do some side raises for the shoulders. Okay, so this daycare shows up and it's like 20 kids. And now that anxiety is starting to kick in. I'm like, oh shit, there's a lot of children here. I'm the hired adult now, and I'm 15. And so, it's going good. It's going great. It's a rainy day, early summer. So all these kids are having fun, running around, and I'm having to blow my whistle. No running, yada yada. And I'm so fucking afraid to like yell at people's kids because all these parents are like, "What the fuck did he just say to you? What? Who?" And I had to be confrontational at this young age if people were being real bad. Like, this one kid put a fucking bee in a bottle and then just opened the bottle and tried to like put the lid open on people's legs so that the bee had nowhere to go except into your leg. So I blew the fucking whistle at him. His dad rips me a fucking new one because kids will be kids or some shit, right? And also, I'm the only one out there. So like all the other adults who work at the gym are inside. And I have a walkie-talkie if I really need to get a hold of them. So I'm like, "Hey, I need to use the bathroom," or "Hey, I need a snack," something like that. So I'd radio them. They'd let me have a little break. So this daycare shows up. I know I've said that like 10 times now. They're having fun. They're doing their thing. But this one little boy, probably like 6 or 7, is making eyes to me that he is like not having a good time. And I see him and I'm like, all right, I got a bunch of siblings. I'm good with this. I can go see what's up with this kid. So I go sit next to him. I'm like, hey man, you good? No, it hurts. It hurts. I'm like, well, what hurts? My arm. I look at his arm. This is like 15-year-old me going into like full on work. I'm like, oh shit, I'm about to have my first, medical incident report. It's not a bee sting, anything like that. And this kid is just like holding back tears. He's probably like 6 or 7. And I'm like, I don't understand. I'm looking at his arm. He's not cut. He's not hurt. I hold his hand. I hold his forearm. There's nothing. And I'm like, I don't know. So I go to his teacher and I'm like, hey man, he says his arm's really hurting. She's like, yeah, he's been saying that all day. I think he really misses his mom. He's trying to get back. Whatever. Daycare leaves. The next day I get to work. This lady who was like our liaison to the daycare setting up their time runs up to me. Do you have the incident report from yesterday with that little boy? Yeah, what's up? Like I wrote down that his arm was hurt, but like I didn't do anything for him. I didn't, and I'm thinking I'm in trouble now. And she's like, oh my God, his mom just called. Apparently at 8 o'clock in the morning when they dropped him off to day camp, they did 30 minutes of judo or something before going to the pool. He got flipped and broke his collarbone and nobody checked on him or anything. And then he swam on it for another hour before coming up to you and saying that his arm hurt. And so I felt horrible. So I see this kid again, maybe 2 weeks later, and he's all casted up and he's smiling and yada yada. But I felt so bad that his teacher was like, yeah, he probably just wants to get back to his mom. Like I'm sure he's fine. I'm like, I'm sure he is too, but turns out we were both on broken collarbone will say otherwise. So I remember that being a particularly horrible day at that job. And then to balance it out though, sometimes when I would go to swim practice from 7 in the morning to 9 in the morning, get home, shower real quick, go to work. And this one time I was sick and I didn't go to morning practice, and I've never actually called out of a job before. So I was like, hey mom, I don't want to go to work. She's like, just call out. I'm like, do I just call and say? And I'm like, but there's no other like they literally don't have another lifeguard. Just call out. And I'm paraphrasing. I was probably like, I don't want to go. And she's like, this is what adults do. You call out when you can't go. And so I call out. For some reason, I go into work the next day. Nobody's at the pool. No one's even like walking out of the locker rooms into the pool. I'm like, that's weird. I wonder what that's about. Next day, same thing. Nobody in the lap pool, not even the old lady. No cardio, no aerobics, nothing like that. I called out on a Monday. These people thought that I was so sick that I was going to be gone for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then they pretty much just said, fuck Thursday and Friday because there's no scheduled classes. So they closed down the whole pool. I clocked in for every single one of those shifts. I'm sitting in the hot tub for most of my shifts, just chilling. And this is why I say this is the best job I've ever had. One of the days, it's like a Friday, I just got away with like 30 hours of payment for sitting by a pool that I probably would have been at regardless, right? I take off my lifeguard tank, my whistle, my sandals. I'm just in my red trunks. Jump in the pool to cool off because no one's there. Jump in the hot tub, warm up for a little. Jump back in the pool. Jump in the lap pool. Swim a couple laps. Now an hour's passed. I'm sitting in the hot tub probably 4 hours into my shift, and either Catherine or Carolyn, whatever her name is, walks out, and I damn near shit myself because I'm like, oh, the owner just caught me like totally lollygagging. I was trying to see how far I could go with it. And she sees me and she's like, oh my God, isn't that the best, right? Like when there's no one here and you can just lay out in the sun. And I was like, yeah. And it was at that point that I realized, like, I don't know, maybe hiring a 15-year-old to be your lifeguard was probably like the best person you could have done, because I thought this job was, I mean, it is life and death at, you know, very important times, but I treated that shit like it was my fucking watch post. Like, and then after that, she's like, yeah, like if there's no one here, you don't even have to wear your whistle. I'd be like, true shit, like true shit. And so that job, fantastic. I had a lot of friends who used to go to that pool too, so I would just be getting paid to sit there, hang out with them, get picked up. I had a free gym membership, just all this cool stuff. And at the end of the season, they canceled my membership. They're just like, oh yeah, like you don't work here anymore. And I didn't have a bank account when I started this job because I was 15 and I didn't need I'd never had a bank account. So at the end of summer, 13 weeks, I think my boss comes up to me and she's like, hey man, are you ever gonna pick up your paychecks? And I'm like, oh my God, I forgot I was getting paid for all this shit. Cause again, I had no fucking bank account. So she hands me a stack of like 7 envelopes and I just take them home and hand them to my mom, and that's eventually what bought my first car. But I'd really like to, I mean, we can do the math. I don't know how much I made that summer. All I know is that was the easiest job I had ever had. It was the best setup. And then the next year I called him because, you know, lifeguard certifications are good for 2 to 4 years, you know, depending on what it is. So I call him and I'm like, hey guys, I'm ready to come back this summer. You ready? And they're just like, oh, Clint, we don't ever hire people for 2 summers in a row. Now that I'm 28, I know that probably meant maybe I didn't do a good job. I don't know. I don't know what it could have meant. But that just seemed like a stretch to me at the time, that I was like, what do you mean you don't hire 2 years in a row? That's insane. Like, so I didn't have a job the next year, and I had waited too long to get a job at all the other pools in the other town. So I'm going into summer, or I'm going into summer with no job. And I'm like, I'm just coming off this, I think I'm a sophomore at the time. So I was just making money for a bunch of weeks as a sophomore, nothing to spend it on, no bank account. I ended up getting a bank account set up with my mom, and my next legit job comes through, and we're driving home from school one day, and I go from like this super robust 15-year-old life of like waking up, have a cup of coffee with my dad, go to swim practice, you know, talk to my coaches, off-season time, you know, like I was very connected. Do all this stuff, talk to the lifeguards, go to the gym, talk to the personal trainers about, I don't know, I was super social, and then I went back to just going to school for my junior year of high school, and I didn't have a job anymore, so I was like, I need something, and it's not gonna be as fun as lifeguarding, I know that. So I made it local, and I ended up going to this hiring fair at the Golden Arches, McDonald's. And it was pretty much show up if you want a job. So you have all of these 16 to 18-year-olds showing up, and then a bunch of 30 to 50-year-olds showing up. Like, you got a huge range of people just showing up at every McDonald's because they're doing this big hire on. And I do my interview, and they're just like, you do drugs? No. Do you have any felonies? I'm like, no, I'm 16 now, I think. Yeah, I'm 16 at this time. And they're like, all right, well, you start next Tuesday. And they hand me my orientation packet and my red hat, or my red shirt and a, black hat and apron, all that stuff. And I report to my local Mickey D's. And while I'm getting trained the first couple days, it's very clear that they don't understand that I'm a high school student who, that's all I do is go to school. And so I'm like, hey, And I have a best friend who worked at McDonald's, had the same issues. But they would say stuff like, when can you work? And I'd be like, I don't know. I get off school 3 o'clock every day. That's 45 minutes away from here. I don't own a car, so I have to wait for my mom to pick me up. I have 11 siblings, so we have to get, we pick them up too. Like, this isn't, I'm just telling them what my life's like. So I'm like, I'm not an adult, man. I go by my mom's clock. And they're just like, so what time can you be at your McDonald's by? And I'm like, probably 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock sounds good. We'll make 4 o'clock your time. Schedule comes out. I'm on the schedule at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. Pretty sure I'm in English class at that time. So I understand that I'm supposed to be there for this shift. I try and call, but it's my first shift. So like, no one's gonna know who I am. And they're just like, wait. So I call, I'm like, hey, my name's yada yada, I got hired. I'm not gonna be there at the time you need today. That turns into, through a game of telephone from the cashier to the manager, that turns into the new guy is not coming in at all today. So I get a call from another person who's like the co-manager of the place. And they're like, what happened? You quit already? And I'm like, what? This is like at 2:30. I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, your shift started 30 minutes ago. And I'm like, no, it didn't. I'm in English class. And they're like, well, when we walked you through how our scheduling process works, you said, and I'm like, I didn't say any of that. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I clearly told you I'm a high school student. I don't know what high schoolers you know who get out of school at noon, but I can't be here at 2. So I go through that for about a week, and I make a lot of managers really hate me because they keep scheduling me at like 2 o'clock, and I don't show up till 4. Till eventually, like, one manager's like, hey man, you can't work till 4? I'm like, yeah. He's like, I'm gonna write that down on the whiteboard. And he does it, and all of a sudden, never happens again. Never happens again. 90% of the people who are working there are high school students. And I'm like, how is this still a problem? Like, this can't still be a problem. But anyway, they figure it out. And I start my life at the Golden Arches. And if you've ever worked there, you walk in and there's just like this certain smell of like the food, the grease, the fish, all of it hits you like all at once. And it's not bad, but like it makes you think about the place very differently. Do I still eat at McDonald's? 100%. But working there, like, I'm trying to see if I can remember my first shift. I remember I had this manager who was probably like 4'2". She's a big woman too. And she ran that shit like it was the Navy. And she didn't fuck around with her like she would write you up for, I remember I got written up one time for not getting enough M&Ms to the bottom of the McFlurry. If you know anything about the old McFlurry machines, you'd stick the straw in them and just brrr, it's like a blender. And so I'd be doing that for like 3 hours a day, just brrr, all this ice cream. And she'd randomly come up sometimes and just take one of my things from my station, pop it open. CJ, does that look like the M&M amount of M&Ms, or the McDonald's amount of M&Ms? That's what she would say. Does that look like a McDonald's size Sprite? Does that look like a McDonald's McW? And I'd be like, I hate this job. I don't want to answer these questions. So, pretty much what they do is when you get there, if you were a woman, you'd immediately get sent to the cashier. They wouldn't even train you how to wash dishes or do the grill. And then if you were a guy, you'd go straight to the grill and you'd work your way from the grill all the way to washing dishes, and then from washing dishes to assembly line, and then from assembly line to the window And then once you could finally do the window, you could start doing cashier orders, stuff like that. And everybody wanted to work cashier because you just sit there and talk all day. So I'm learning this new kitchen system. It's very specific. It's built for McDonald's, obviously, but like there's this grill. If you've ever seen it, you press the buttons. It's a double-sided grill. It's like a George Foreman grill on crack. You put down a bunch of patties, you click it, it smashes them, and it cooks them perfect every time. You scoop them off, you put them in the tray. So my first job was to just smack patties down on the grill, hit go. And I'm doing it. Putting on my gloves, I'm putting down my patties, yada, yada, yada. And if there's one thing I learned about like fast food or just working with, when you work somewhere that like no one tells you, you have to be doing this or this job. Like people would just be like, oh, I'm cashiering today, but I'm gonna go hit the grill for a second just because I want to get out of the audience. Whatever. I don't know. This guy walks up, big Mexican dude, and he just starts fucking with my grill settings. I'm like, what are you doing? I didn't even know it could do that. And he's like, yeah, man, this one's beef, this one's chicken, this one's yada yada, this one's yada yada, this one's yada. And I'm like, okay, man, well, they told me to just do beef. He's like, yeah, cool. Puts it back to beef. Press it. Puts it down on these patties. These patties come out, and they're bloody. They're like bloody. They're a mess. They look disgusting. And of course, just at that time, we're like waiting on buns, or we're waiting on patties or something. My manager walks up. What are you doing? And I'm like, literally, it's on beef. And she's like, yeah, we have 2 sizes of beef. You got to pick the right one, idiot. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know. And they're like, why'd you fuck with the grill setting? And I'm like, I didn't fuck with it. It was homeboy. Why'd you let him touch your grill? He's a cashier. And I'm like, dog, this isn't prison. Why are y'all taking it? So it was from there that I learned fast food is not to be fucked with. Like, I worked that job for 2.5 years. And let's see, I had a manager get fired for stealing from the safe. I had another person, not OD, but they had to come get picked up from the walk-in freezer by their significant other while they were on the clock. When I worked a New Year's shift with this one manager, she would take a shot every hour on the hour while we were, doing just regular work. I don't know. And so you learn really early on that breakfast shift is kind of the worst thing that you could ever be a part of. So naturally, they put me on 2 breakfast shifts per week, Saturday and Sundays. And you get there, and something about, if you ever worked a night shift and you closed up, opening up the next morning and switching over to breakfast, it's a bunch of eggs and sausage and just a bunch of stuff everywhere that it's like relearning an entirely different restaurant, because at 11 o'clock the sign switches. And so I would work 3 days a week doing dinner, then 2 days a week doing breakfast. And breakfast people are just assholes. They would just drive through. Some people were super sweet, just get an orange juice and leave. Some people would order for the entire church and then sit in the drive-thru and wait for you to bring it out. And then this one time, I was working the window because I had moved my way up the ranks. Remember, I was a senior in high school, and I'm just handing bags out the windows. My only job is just fill up drinks, grab the order, hand it out the window. And this guy pulls up. He's on the mic. Welcome to McDonald's, what can I get for you? You guys fucked up my order. I'm back. All right, man. Whatever. Goes to the first window. I'm at the second window. I can hear him bitching out the person at the back window. I'm like, okay, well, I'm usually safe because I'm the one giving them food, so they're usually grateful, Then I'm there. This guy pulls up. That bitch in the back couldn't help me, this and that. You guys fucked up my order 3 days ago. I want it back. I'm like, 3 days ago? What the fuck are you talking about? At this time in my McDonald's career, I don't care about customer service because McDonald's breakfast people they're a different breed. This man says, I want a coffee then. As if we're like barter. All right, just give me a coffee then. If you'd like to pay for a coffee, he spits through his window, through the cashier window, right here. Fat ass brown loogie on my McDonald's motherfucking apron. And I'm leaning out the window, and before I can even, he speeds off. And I take this fucking thing off, and I'm pissed. And I think after that, I can't do anything about that because, like, everyone's watching and, you know, customer's always right. But everyone understood how disgusting that was. And everyone understood that I was a very level-headed 17-year-old. And that if they had done that to maybe one of our 40-year-old females or one of our 30-year-old risky hire males, we used to have a lot of risky hires who had a record. Just wanted to give them a second chance. So after that, I never got scheduled for another breakfast shift, ever. And I think it had to do with everybody seeing this big brown loogie on my apron. And it was disgusting, and I'll never forget that that man drove through a drive-thru to spit on me. And then a couple weeks later, there was this guy who I worked with, and same age as me. I'm happy this guy wasn't working the window that day because this guy had actual anger issues. Like he's a pretty raging alcoholic by the time we were both 18. But one time he came through the drive-thru and got into, like, he was not working. He came to eat lunch. He was ordering his lunch, and somebody behind him in a car said some shit to him. And without hesitation, this man who worked at the McDonald's that we're at pulls a fucking tire iron out and walks to this car behind him, like, ready to fucking go. And the only people who are there to stop it are people who are working, who know this guy works there, but just isn't there today. Like, hey man, you can't threaten customers with a tire iron on your days off. And then we worked together the next shift like nothing ever happened. Like, we would just hire the sketchiest of people, and we'd never, ever, like I don't remember a good shift with any of those people. Like, I had a select few friends that, like, they're McDonald's coworkers, so, like, we're gonna have some stuff in common. But then they say some shit that made me realize we are not the same. And that's a good thing. There's this guy who got hired probably the same week I did, so obviously we're McDonald's comrades, and we're going through the shit together. So we don't get a lot of time to get to know each other. After the first couple months, we both know what we're doing, we start chatting. Hey man, what are you into? Oh, I'm into this. Right off the rip, he's a rapper. So he's gonna lay down some beats. He's gonna do the old hollowed out, you know, the container with his phone in it. He's gonna lay down some, you know, a couple rhymes here and there. He wasn't bad, but he was a light-skinned black dude from Northern California who lived with, like, his great uncle, old white dude, looked like Duck Dynasty. So, like, for the culture, I felt a little skewed. But anyway, he would always be talking about being from the Bay Area, and I'd be like, but we're in the mountains, dog. What are you rapping about? Whatever. it was then that I learned that you don't ask them these things. Like 17-year-old me was like, hey man, but why do you rap about this place when you're from here? And he'd be like, well, you don't ask me that because actually I rep it all. And I'd be like, oh, well, I didn't, okay. It's my first time interacting with, you know, just other coworkers and of all different types. So one day he comes into work and he's like, hey man, bottles up. I remember he said bottles up. I'm like, what's that mean? Bottles up at my uncle's house tonight. We're having a kickback. I'm 17. My parents still don't let me leave. I think I just got a car. And I'm not allowed to go party. I'm not even allowed to leave unless I'm going to work. I'm like, okay, man, cool. I just want to know about this party. Because this guy has a reputation now for being a rapper, for being sort of big baller in his sense. He's the biggest baller I've ever met at 17. And I think he's 23, so he knows what he's doing. And throughout our 5-hour shift, I hear him calling people, setting up the venue, doing his thing. It's gonna happen at this kind of public lake area that has a bunch of like structures you can swim onto. It's a really weird spot, but it's a private place. And I'm like, I don't think they let you drink there at all. Like, that's a public spot. So more time goes, people are asking me, hey, you going to the thing? You going to the thing? No. I heard so-and-so is gonna bring a keg. I heard so-and-so's bringing this. I'm like, I don't know what any of this means, man. Like, y'all are speaking a different language to me. And but then it clicks. Then it all clicks. Okay. This 23-year-old is throwing a party in the town that we're all from. All my older managers are talking about it. They're 26, 27. Yeah, man, bring your bong, bring the fucking plate, you know, all that, you know, bring everything. I go to school in a different town, 20 minutes away, right? One of my friends messages me, hey, you're from Mountain Town, right? Yeah, what's up? Do you know about this thing going on tonight at the rec center? I heard there's a party. And I'm like, are you talking about my homeboy from McDonald's, right? Mind you, everybody at the McDonald's who's talking about this party is like 23 to 30. I'm 17, and the person texting me is like 16. And they're like, yeah, man, we hear it's gonna be crazy. We heard there's a rapper. We heard there's all this stuff. And so I'm just sitting there like, this can't be the same fucking party. Totally the same party. It's absolutely the same party. So much so that the next time that we're all working together, they're recollecting this party. Man, we had bottles, we had bitches. I know what bitches they had. I was in English class with them 8 hours before this party. So it was then that I was like, okay, never accept an invite to anything from any of these people ever. Because the way my homeboy, he's not my homeboy, the way Big Baller, Mickey D's boy, was talking some, man, I was spitting game at these women. I had these girls wanting me. I had the bot, and I'm like, does he know? He has to know. He must know, right? These are the kind of things that you have to think about while you're flipping burgers. And there's just there's a lot of crossover. They'd be like, yeah, man, I'm trying to throw a big ass party out in the hills tomorrow. I'm doing big bonfire, bottles everywhere. When I go to school the next day, someone would be like, yeah, man, my friend said there's gonna be this like event out in the woods. And I'd be like, what event? Like, what? And just catch like wildfire. It's fantastic. Hilarious time to be working there, but man, we made it through like 3 jobs, and that is a full hour and 15-minute workout. Okay, so I really do enjoy being able to just spew my thoughts like this, because there's a lot of funny stories about McDonald's. I had a guy slip and burn his lip on the grill one time. The ride homes, everybody asking for a ride home. Every ride home turns into something more than a ride home. Like, one time this girl asked me for a ride home. She's like 28 and I'm 17. I take her to the address that she gives me, and it's a Dollar Tree. And we're sitting in front of this Dollar Tree for like 10 minutes before I finally have the courage to say like, hey, this is my dad's car and he's expecting me home in a little. Why are we sitting in front of this Dollar Tree? This person says to me, my boyfriend gets off in 10 minutes and then we can drive home. I learned you have to ask questions for anything. Someone asks you to cover their shift. What for? Well, it's funny you should mention. I'm suing McDonald's. That's why. That's why I'd like you to take my shift. So I'm actually headed to find a lawyer, and I need my shift covered. I'd be like, oh, I'm sorry. What? No, I can't take your shift that day. I'm sorry. Some people would call me at 1 o'clock, lunchtime. Like, I'm at lunch at high school, and they're like, dude, I got super baked. I need you to take my shift. I'll pay you extra. You gotta be clocked in 10 minutes. And I'd be like, yeah, man, I'm like 30 minutes away and I didn't pack my clothes, so like, it's just not happening. And then you get to work and they're like, yeah, everyone called out. Cool. Like, there was never a day you clocked in and you were like, oh, we're ready. We're ready for it today, boys. So that's McDonald's. It's about where we've made it to so far. Lifeguarding, scorekeeping, the Golden Arches, all fantastic, places that built me into the hard worker that I am today. But we haven't even made it to my first 18-year-old job yet. We're still a minor by the time I finish all these jobs. By the time I'm 18, I have 3 jobs. I'm working at a pasta place, I'm working at an ice rink, and I'm working at McDonald's. I'm working all 3. And I'm raking in cash because I am saving up to move out of my house, my parents' house, because I graduated the year before, the June before. So that whole summer, I'm working my ass off to just save up enough cash to find roommates and just a little bit of cool down. But I'm enjoying this, guys. I'm enjoying just chatting about. This is all to make myself remember, no matter if I get hired, this month, next month, in a year, maybe I'll be unemployed for a while. There's always going to be work to be done, and I've proved that to myself time and time again. With my past, I can't believe that when I was like 15, I really wanted to be, routined into work, and I wanted to, it wasn't even about the paycheck. That was the weirdest thing. Like, I didn't have anything to spend money on. So, like, it was just the freedom I got from it. That made me question what I wanted to do for work for a really long time before ever going to college or anything like that. Because the whole time I'm working at all these jobs, I'm not thinking about a career. McDonald's is asking me the day I turn 18, will you join our managementship program? We could really use some young, bright-minded people like yourself. And I was like, man, it's awesome that I worked my way up to this to get asked to be a manager, but I did not want to be a manager at McDonald's at all. I don't even yeah, there was nothing. I think what I did was, to end this stream, I'm gonna give you guys a little teaser of what's to come next time. If we keep talking about this, today I'm just very fixated on work and resumes and all that stuff. So McDonald's, I turn 18 and my manager is asking me, will you consider going to management school? You get a pay raise, you'll be working 40 hours a week. And it's my senior year going into my freshman year of community college, and I'm ready to have a bunch of fun because I'm kind of free at that point. I'm about to move out, and I have a car, and I have friends, and I have money now. And I tell her, I'm like, yeah, I would absolutely love to do this managementship program. However, I need 2 weeks off before I can accept it. I need a 2-week gap for graduation, for all this stuff. And she's like, you know what? You've been a great worker. Go ahead, take it. In that 2 weeks, I go get recertified for lifeguarding. And the big town with all the public pools, 4 public pools and a whole bunch of stuff, they hire me to go be not only a swim coach, but a lifeguard. And I pretty much use that 2 weeks to like be employed by McDonald's and like still keep a couple shifts, I guess. And then I quit and I went to go work exclusively at the Italian restaurant and the motherfucking pools. And this is all, I'm 18 at this point. This is when I started all those jobs. I'm 18. But that is an hour-and-a-half workout, guys. I feel fantastic. I feel like I've just been chatting and I don't really feel winded. Maybe I wasn't taking it too hard, but first workout of the year. I am very happy that I have this all set up to be consistent from the rip. So I'm happy to say January 1st. Thanks for working out with me. Thanks for listening. If you have any comments, if you want to tell me about your first job, I'd love to hear, because first jobs are everything going into pretty much defining how you're going to work for the rest of your time, knowing who you want to work with, what kind of shit you don't want to ever put up with again. So be sure to like, follow, subscribe, all that good shit. But thanks for chatting. I will see you guys tomorrow for another workout. Bye, guys.